Hey, this is Kevin Hood with Anim Movement, and if you really want to learn to level up your life, you should be listening to the Time to Shine Today podcast with my friend Scott Ferguson.
Hey, Time to Shine Today podcast squad. It's Scott Ferguson, and I am very privileged to bring you an interview with my friend and my homeboy from Detroit, Kevin Hood. Kevin has went through quite a bit in his life, some health struggles, working in construction, and then really parlaying what he's learning through getting in touch with his nature, being a conduit to other people, and really a huge go-giver spirit to help people level up their life. Kevin was in, like I said before, he was in construction, got some health issues, and really decided to step back, really take a huge look at how he can help level up himself and in turn start help to level up other people. He has a huge heart. He's so well spoken and he's so knowledgeable as well. So sit back, open up your notebook, let's take some notes, and let's level up, because here comes our interview with my friend, Kevin Hood. Hey, Time to Shine squad. This is Scott Ferguson, and I am in uber stoked mode. I get a homeboy from back where I'm from. Everybody knows that listens that I have deep roots into the Detroit area. And Kevin Hood actually lives and resides in Detroit. Wait till you hear some of the knowledge nuggets that he is going to put on everybody out there in Time to Shine land. And just a little bit about Kevin. Kevin, like I said, is from Detroit, Michigan. He spent his early 20s immersed in nature, music, carpentry, and yoga. A bout with a chronic illness sent him in deeper into our ancestral roots of health and spiritual wisdom. After 4 years of running a construction business, he connected the dots. Entrepreneurs need a healthy mind and a healthy body to operate at their best. So, Kevin, welcome to our squad. And if you could, please tell us your favorite color and why.
My favorite color is green.
Green.
Thank you for that warm introduction, Scott. I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome, brother.
Yep. And the reason my favorite color is green, it just always has been, and it probably has something to do with the fact that I love being out in nature so much.
Excellent.
It just reminds me of being home in the woods.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your origin story from where you started. It looks like you were doing some hands-on work in construction and whatnot into the Anim movement with Kevin Hood.
Okay. So when I was 25 or 26, I was working as a carpenter here in Detroit, doing remodeling work. And it's kind of nasty, I'll be honest. It's dirty work. And we'll just say I'm a particularly sensitive individual when it comes to food, environment, kind of all that stuff. And so I'm a little bit of a canary in the coal mine, if you will. And I ended up developing severe health problems. I had chronic fatigue. I was sleeping 16 hours a day, constant muscle soreness, bloating, basically couldn't really get out of bed.
Okay. Yeah, it's pretty scary, isn't it?
Yeah, I was like, I don't know what to do. And I got a hot tip from a holistic
practitioner
that led me to change my diet, start moving my body, engaging in spiritual practices. And within 6 months, I turned all of that around and felt better than I had in my entire life. And that was kind of the first stage. And then the next stage was moving past sort of this ethical poverty thing that I had going on. I was living in a collective house where it was kind of, we all worked and had jobs, but it was like, down with the system and
Rebel a
just
little
be,
bit, right?
yeah, it
Okay.
was definitely a rebellion type thing that I was
Okay.
going through. And um, basically, after moving through that, I decided that I wanted to work in health and wellness, but I couldn't quite connect the dots yet.
Okay.
So I decided to do what I knew how to do, which was construction. I started a construction business. We did really well for 4 years and had numerous employees and built hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of awesome projects and had really great clients. I learned all about myself and business and relationships and people and sales.
Okay. So with that being said, there somewhere there was an aha moment where you were sick. Let me ask you something. Did you start your own construction business after you were sick, or was that before you
Yes.
had gotten sick? Okay, because you're kind of a fish out of the water, kind of in the it could not even mesh sometimes with your personality. Correct? With you just seem like I'm in the real estate business, which my listeners know. Like you don't seem like something I would go to and be like, "Hey, man, you're a carpenter," because you're so, not to say other carpenters aren't well spoken, but you're just so like you just remind me so much of like a health practitioner and a holistic
Yeah.
practitioner. So what was that aha moment that was like, boom, this is something that I'm going to tackle into the health practitioner, your holistic lifestyle?
The aha moment was honestly my second health crisis.
Oh, wow.
I had known for years, the whole time I was running a construction business, I would go around telling my friends, I'd rather be working in health and wellness. And they'd be like, well, why don't you just do it?
Right.
So I ultimately, I'm going to tie this into kind of a failure experience
Yes,
here,
please do.
if you will. So I lost a lot of money on a remodeling project. And at that same time, I ruptured my bicep tendon. Kind of everything in my relationship was falling apart. Kind of everything in my life was starting to fall apart again. And I just kept pushing and pushing and pushing and thinking I was going to finish this project anyway and all this stuff, And it became incredibly apparent to me that if I didn't make some changes that, the carpet was going to get pulled out from under me again.
Sure. Was it the same illness as before?
That's a good question.
Okay.
I mean, I feel like I don't know the answer to
Mm-hmm.
that, to be honest. That's a deep conversation.
No, that's fine.
The original illness, I believe, was just dysbiosis in the gut,
Okay.
right? So just general things out of balance.
Right.
And I guess the second time, yeah, it was the same thing. Things being out of balance.
Okay. All right. So you started, okay, let me ask you something. How did you run into this practitioner that kind of turned your life around then? How did that all come about?
So one of the symptoms that I was experiencing is I was getting yeast infections.
Okay.
And I had an elder in my community that I really looked up to and really trusted. And she was living, well, she still is living, but she's living with lupus. So she's really into health stuff generally and keeping things in balance and Zen and all that
Sure.
stuff. And she just said, "Hey, go see this person." And I went to this person and she did some muscle testing on me. And at the time I was like, I don't really jive with this. Like, this isn't doing it for me.
Right.
But I called her later and I asked her, like, hey, I got this yeast infection. Like, what do you do? And she said, yeast infections are not something topical that you put an ointment on. Yeast infections are an internal imbalance in your body. And that's when I was like, oh,
Wow.
that was my aha moment where I said, oh,
Gotcha.
I can change this.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. And so you made the switch from being in hands-on carpentry work into now serving people with your ideas and to reconnect to human nature. What was the hardest part about getting that going and rolling? Was it getting people to believe in you, knowing that you were a carpenter before, and that, or was it that people really kind of take to you as you go forward?
Honestly, I think it was just a good fit for me. People that knew me were like, yeah, that makes total sense.
Your family as well?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
And honestly, I still do some construction stuff these days as well too. So getting this going for me was really it's really just building the program, right? It's building putting together what I know that works and testing it against other people and streamlining it and just improving that service.
Okay, tell me about that service. How do you start with somebody? And because I got a lot of people in my squad that are always asking about leveling up their life and starting with the interior out. So take us through how, when you meet somebody that are looking for your services, Kevin, how do you bring them in? Because the reason why I wanted to interview you is you're not cookie cutter. We vetted out, Kevin Hood, and you're not very cookie cutter. So tell me, when someone comes to you and says, Kevin, I want to, quote unquote, hire you, what's your first step with them?
So my first step is to really assess what's going on with their life, and it's just a conversation.
Okay.
And I want to get to know what their challenge is, what their struggle is, what their biggest thing that's in their way.
Something that's blocking their blind spots, right?
Yep.
Okay.
I want to know things that they've tried in the past that hasn't worked.
Okay.
I want to know what they think is standing in their way.
Okay.
Right. And what I'm getting at is I'm just trying to really understand their situation as much as possible from their perspective.
Gotcha.
And if I were to start with someone from square one, I would point them towards their dream and their vision for their life.
Okay.
And if they have that under wraps, we can move on from there.
Gotcha.
But if they don't, that's where we need to start.
Start constructing where they see themselves, down the road after they're internally and physically healthy and they're starting to take care of their temple and whatnot, correct? Am I saying that kind of right?
Yeah.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about your morning routine. Okay. So what does that consist of?
So I get up at either 5:30 or 6 a.m. I'm a little bit flexible on that.
Okay.
And I immediately feed my cat and get the coffee going and brush my teeth.
Okay.
Those are the first things I do in the morning. And then while the coffee's brewing, I have a prayer session.
Nice.
And that usually takes about 30 minutes and just includes connecting with some various energies and also some singing and some chanting as well too. And then I grab coffee, and lately I've been curling up with a book for the next, I'd say 20 to 30 minutes.
Okay.
And then I head into either a workout or a work in. And the workout is I just hit my studio and lift some weights and move my body around and hit it hard. And the work in is various things. I know you're into Ashtanga yoga, so I would say yoga-like exercises.
Very good. Okay.
Combined with some other stuff some other movement stuff that I make up.
Okay.
I do what I call spiraling with a rope, right? The only thing I do is I don't jump the rope.
Okay.
But it's very meditative, and it also crosses your midline. So I like that because it connects the two sides of our brain together.
Binaural line, right? Yeah.
Yeah. In this very meditative movement.
Gotcha. Well, go ahead, please. I'm sorry.
And then I make breakfast and take a shower. And that's my morning routine.
Great. You just segued right in. What is, because if you're watching this on video, people on the podcast, you can see Kevin's in pretty good shape here, takes very good care of himself. So what's in Kevin's diet? What's your lifestyle? I don't call it a diet. We don't call it a diet here in Time to Shine today. What's your lifestyle with your eating?
So I eat essentially a paleo diet. This was the diet that I adopted originally during my initial health crisis, which at the time I didn't know that it was a paleo diet, but it's low carb, high fat, and whole foods, organic, fresh, local if possible, animal foods and plant foods as close to their natural progenitor as possible.
Love it.
Right? So
Absolutely.
Ideally wild food.
Wild food.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Are you a fish eater then?
Actually, I'm not that into fish.
Okay. Well, what's your protein sources then?
So most commonly, if I'm getting it from the store, it's beef and chicken. Yep.
Okay.
And then venison and bison are some very readily accessible versions closer to our natural progenitors, right? If it's actually wild or not, that'll depend as well too.
Gotcha. So tell me about your worst moment while growing your business so far and how you failed forward, if you will.
Yeah. So my worst moment in growing, well, it kind of comes back to losing money on that construction job. And maybe we can go into that a little bit more because, I lost a ton of money and I almost filed bankruptcy and my health was declining and everything was falling down around me. Right.
Right.
And this was the impetus to make the change for me. This was like, it's time to help people with what I'm passionate about rather than kind of chasing money and impressing people.
Nice.
Which is largely some of the motivations for the ultimate failure in my construction business, right? Had I not been so eager to get somewhere, maybe it wouldn't have turned out that way.
Gotcha. Understood.
And what I really learned was that failure is a part of success. And
Absolutely.
it's not who we are. And I really learned a lot about valuing myself and not taking things personally, especially in business.
Right. And paying it forward to people with that mindset also. I can tell that you do that.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah. So Kevin, what's the one big thing you want to accomplish in your life?
So my goal and my vision for my life is really just to be the most effective conduit for transformation for people in terms of their health and their wellness.
Love that. So you want to put it together and make it, you have such a go-giver spirit. Squad, if you listen to what we're saying, it's like Kevin wants to be the most effective conduit. It's not what Kevin wants for them. It's what the universe or the creator wants for them, and to put them in harmony with that. So that's amazing that you said that, because that's what we're always talking about here on Time to Shine today. Let me ask you, because I wrote this down, I really wanted to know, because vetting you out, but what's the one thing that you feel people misunderstand about Kevin the most?
One of the things that people misunderstand about Kevin, I'm drawing a blank on that one. I'll be honest. Can I ask a clarifying question?
Absolutely, please do.
So when you say what people misunderstand about me personally, or about what I do in business?
Let's go with business, since this is Time to Shine today. I mean, people misunderstand me a lot, I'm a bigger guy, I'm walking around at 270 pounds. I'm kind of pretty well put together kind of thing. And people will think that, oh, this guy's a bully. But
Yeah.
to be furthest from the truth, I am the most laid back. Don't get me wrong. The military comes out in me, if something, my family or something like that's threatened. But with you, like you're so far outside the box, Kevin. There's not that many people that practice and walk barefoot and that what you do. So there's got to be something out there that people might misunderstand about you. Got to dig, bro. Got to dig.
You gotta dig. Something that people misunderstand about me personally is, wow.
I think it's that you actually care. The bottom line is, I think that's what it is. That's why I kind of followed up the big thing you wanted to accomplish, because I think it's that you actually care, and that's amazing. I mean, if people see this video, you're a pretty young man, I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, so by the way, I'm 34.
So he's 34. So,
Okay.
A millennial that's out there getting it and giving it, giving and being 100% go-giver. I think that you like to give more than what you receive in payment. You want to get people to, level up their life, as we like to say. So with all that being said, what's your definition of a life well lived?
So my definition of a life well lived is, it comes from a quote, and it comes from a quote in a book called Awakening Somatic Intelligence, and it's written by Dr. Risa F. Caparo. And I don't remember who originally said this quote, but this is where I read it.
Okay.
And it is, leisure is not the, wait a minute. So leisure is not the privilege of those who can afford to take time. Leisure is the virtue of those that give to everything they do the time it deserves to take.
Wow, that's deep.
Mm-hmm.
So that okay. I think that we picked up on that with that definition for you. Absolutely, man. You're just a go-giver, and that's and it's amazing. You're so humble. You're so grounded. And that is amazing, because you work from the inside out, as well as taking care of your exterior temple as well. So what we're going to do, Kevin, is we're going to move into what we like to call our level up lightning round. Okay. Yep. So there's 5 or 6 questions we're going to go through, and you and I could talk for 15, 20 minutes on each one of these, but you got like 7 to 10 seconds.
Okay.
So just answer, no explanation, just answer, and we're going to move on. All right, brother? Ready?
You got it.
All right. What's the best leveling up advice you've ever received?
The best leveling up advice I've ever received is know the difference between love and fear.
Love it. Okay. And what's one of your personal habits that contributes to your success?
Taking a walk in the afternoon outside.
Love that. Love it. Love it. Taking your little sabbatical. I love that. Other than kevinhood.me and, of course, timetoshinetoday.com, give us an internet resource you like to go to kind of level up your life and get some good reading done in your field.
So I'm going to give you something a little more experiential, and it's findaspring.com.
Love it.
And this is where you can find wild water that you can harvest and drink.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Other than the book you just mentioned, recommend another go-to book that is there if you're just feeling doldrums or feeling something. Is there a book that you like to pick up and go to?
Yeah, there's a book that I always refer to, and it's called Secrets of the Talking Jaguar by Martine Prechtel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. And what is your favorite charity or organization that you love to support?
So there's a United Housing Coalition. I think it's just UHC. It's a local place here in Detroit. And they help people with tax foreclosures. They help people stay in their homes during the tax foreclosure season. So I like giving to them. Yeah.
Excellent. And last question, what's the best decade of music? 60s, 70s, 80s, or 90s?
60s.
Love it. All right. Got a little hippie action in there. I love that. I love it. All right. So as we wind down, leave the Time to Shine squad out there, our listeners, one knowledge nugget that you want them to take with you, to take with them.
Yeah. So I'll just leave with this. You know, we don't just have a body, we are a body, and our mind resides inside that body.
I love that, man.
Yeah.
Awesome. How can we find you, Kevin? I know we're at kevinhood.me.
Yep.
And then I see your social media as well, but is there anywhere else that people can find you?
Those are the best places, you know, at anim.movement on Instagram. Mm-hmm. And then, like you said, kevinhood.me, and my email is listed on there as well.
Beautiful. All right, squad. We have the privilege to have somebody that is humble, yet hungry, always leveling up his health, leveling up his wealth. He wants to be an effective conduit for his clients to put them in touch with their right being. And Kevin, it was our privilege to be able to have you on. Now you're part of our squad, so you can't go anywhere anymore. But no, seriously, man, thank you so much for coming on, brother.
Yeah, thank you so much, Scott. I really appreciate your time and your energy and all the love that you're sending out into the universe, brother. So
we love you too, brother. We'll talk soon.
All right. Take care.
Hey, thanks so much for listening to this episode of Time to Shine Today podcast. Proudly brought to you by Sutter and Nugent Real Estate Excellence, who can be reached at 561-249-7266 and online at www.sutterandnugent.com. If you're a business owner or professional who would like to be interviewed on Time to Shine Today, please visit timetoshinetoday.com/guest. If you like this episode, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you get your podcasts. There's a link in the show notes to our website. Also there, you will see our recommended resources. We hope that you will support our show by supporting them. If you like what you've been listening to, it'd be great if you could just give us a 5-star rating and tell your friends how to subscribe while you're at it. I'm your host, Scott Ferguson, and until next time, let's level up. It's our time to shine.